Hello everybody. Just a reminder for assignments due. So today I just am asking you guys to watch this video, and then also after you're finished to fill out your assigned Jamboard on Google Classrooms. But we're going to be spending a little bit of time just talking about the oxygen pathway and what happens when we breathe and what happens to that oxygen that we breathe into our body. If you guys want a quick summary of what our Jamboard assignment is for today, keep watching. If not, if you're already set with that, then you can just skip to this time marker. I'm not really sure what it is yet, but whatever that is, that's when I'm going to be starting the actual video content for this video. So do whatever you need to do. So when you click on the assignment, you're going to see the same exact Jamboard that we filled out as a class earlier today when we talked about what happens to the human body when we exercise. So your job for async work today is just going to be to kind of add on to that and use either text boxes or sticky notes to put at least 3 things that could have gone wrong in the body to make a marathoner collapse. These can be complete guesses, like educated guesses. It's okay if you're wrong, like, we're here to learn, so it's totally fine. Just try the best that you can and just put some thoughts down. It can be related to the things that we talked about in class. Like, for example, we said that we sweat when we exercise, right? So when we sweat, let's say we say, well, maybe she didn't sweat. Maybe her pores were so clogged that she didn't sweat, and so she couldn't cool down that way. And that's something that could have gone wrong. So it could be literally anything, or it could just be like something that doesn't have to do with anything that we talked about today. It could just be a totally different thought that entered your mind. Whatever comes to mind, just write it down, because all ideas are good ideas. And if anything, it'll just give us really cool stuff to discuss. So do that after you watch this video. And yeah. Let me know if you have any questions after you watch this. Hey guys, so in class today, we talked about the marathon runner and how she collapsed after she finished the marathon. She finished it successfully, but then she went into an actual coma afterwards. So that's kind of crazy. And we also talked about what happens in the human body when we exercise, right? And one of your assignments for today is to talk about what could have gone wrong. What could have happened to one of the things that we talked about that made her collapse? Well, the main question that we're going to be talking about tomorrow and for the next couple days is whether or not she ran out of breath. So everyone should agree that we all need oxygen to live. So let's talk about what happens when we breathe. There are 2 main systems in our body that really work together to help us breathe successfully. Okay, so when we breathe, whether I breathe through my nose or through my mouth, right, it's gonna go down my throat, which is called your pharynx, and then it's gonna go down through your voice box, which is your larynx, and then it's gonna go down your trachea, which is like this right here, and then it's going to go branch out. You have 2 lungs, right? So it's going to branch out into the bronchi, which are like the airways, and then it's going to get into your lungs. So that's the respiratory system. Then the circulatory system disperses the oxygen into the blood, and it delivers it to all of the cells that need oxygen. Let's say, okay, so once the oxygen is like in the lungs, right, the circulatory system kind of comes into play. So the circulatory system then steps in and it takes all that oxygen that you just took into your body and it distributes it through blood vessels into all of your tissues, all of your cells, all of the things that are like, I really need oxygen, please get it to me. They put the oxygen in the blood and they shoot it out into the body and they just distribute it, okay? It's kind of like Amazon, right? Like, you need something, so your body ordered it, which was your oxygen, your breath. Your respiratory system is kind of like the seller, whoever is selling the item that you need. In this case, it's going to be our breath, right? Our oxygen. We need oxygen. So then it passes it off to the circulatory system, which is the Amazon guy, and then he or she is like distributing all of the packages. So she or he travels through the roads of our body, which is wherever blood travels, which is the blood vessels, and then they distribute the oxygen wherever the cells ordered it, wherever they were like, I need oxygen, and so they just gave it to them. So that's kind of how it works. So things that you need to know about specifically the way that the blood travels is two things. So the blood vessels that carry blood, there are arteries and there are veins. So arteries carry blood away from the heart. You can remember that because arteries away, AA, right? Veins carry blood towards the heart. So basically what happens is arteries take the blood, the oxygenated blood, the Amazon Prime trucks that have a lot of oxygen, and then they take it to wherever they need to go. And then the blood that doesn't have oxygen anymore, they bring it back through the veins, back to get more oxygen, okay, towards the heart, which is towards the lungs. So this is the oxygen pathway. So just to recap, it goes through your mouth or your nose. I did that backwards, but it goes through there. It comes down through your throat, through your voice box, down your trachea or your windpipe, right? And then it goes and branches out into your bronchi and your lungs. Then the circulatory system takes over, takes that oxygenated blood, okay? Takes that blood with a whole bunch of oxygen in it, distributes it to the whole entire body, and then is like, okay, we used up all the oxygen in that blood, we bring it back to get resupplied. At this point, if you guys have any questions, either write them down to ask tomorrow in class, or can contact me right now, like as we speak, and ask me the question. So the respiratory system and the circulatory system kind of working in this way is a really, really big factor when we talk about cellular respiration. So you guys might be wondering why this matters in this kind of case. Well, when we exercise super, super hard, especially let's say if we're running a marathon, for example, oxygen is a very, very important molecule that powers a process called cellular respiration. And that process that happens in our body, that is happening in our body as we speak, okay, in billions and billions, like in all of our cells, that is what gives us the energy to keep exercising. And so that's why we're kind of thinking about, okay, so the marathoner collapsed. Why? Is it because of oxygen? Is it because she needed more oxygen? And I think that's a really fair question. If we don't get oxygen, we can't do the very process that gives us energy to stay alive. That's why, like, when you go underwater for a really long time and you hold your breath and you break the surface, right? After like a minute or even like 5 minutes, if you're like half dolphin and you can really, really hold your breath underwater, you will gasp for air. You are literally like going to be like, right? Because you need that much more oxygen to make up for all of the oxygen that you were missing out on while you were holding your breath. And so all of your cells in your body is like, oh my gosh, I can't work if I don't have my fuel. And so putting oxygen into our body is such an important part of just the way that we think about. So the question that I want you guys to start thinking about for tomorrow's class is, when we exercise, why do we breathe faster? That's the big question that I want you guys to think about. So come prepared with some thoughts on that, and we're going to discuss it tomorrow. So other than that, if you need to watch this video a couple more times just to kind of get everything synced in, or if you want to contact me right now for some questions or anything like that, go ahead. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye!